and gentlemen, we are back. How you guys feeling? It's Wednesday out there. It is the final week of action before we get to the Stage 2 playoff. Just 4 more days of regular season action, 3 matches per day. I'm your host, Chris Puckett. I got the full desk with me. We got Crumbs, we got Johnny, we got Zoe. And can we start this thing off right? Can I touch this?
You go. There it is. It's real.
It's so gross. It's so wonderful at the same time. Explain yourself, Crumbs.
It's playoff week. You gotta have either a playoff beard or a playoff mustache. And the Florida Mayhem said that they would do the same thing. So I'm looking at Manatine and Tvik to match this.
Show off the stash, boys. It's playoff week. I like it. Don't see Florida making it in, but let's talk about some of the teams that we do expect. Starting with our overall standings. You'll remember here at the Overwatch League regular season, every team will play 40 matches. We're nearing that halfway point, and so far, it's the New York XL, London, and Seoul in our top 3.
Yes, it is those 3 teams at the top, and they've been so dominant throughout, really. Valiant not really shown up so far in Stage 2, but Philadelphia Fusion today, maybe a chance to maybe contest those teams in the future.
Now we have 4 stages throughout the regular season. Here in Stage 2, it's the final week. It's all about this set of 10 games. Zoe, what have we seen? Who's in the running for the final 3 spots?
Well, right now, technically, there are still 7 teams in the run, but not all of them are in charge of their own destiny. And there are some teams who have a higher probability to actually make it to the Stage 2 playoffs. New York Excelsior is definitely on top of those, but you got to look at London, Gladiators, Seoul, Philly. Those are the teams who really have to battle it out in the end.
That 3 through 5 is so tight, and we get a chance to see number 3 versus 5. It's going to be the Gladiator versus Fusion. Major playoff implications later. We see the Mayhem going up against an improved Shock with Sinatra for the first time, and we close it out. The Outlaws going up against Shanghai, who has some fresh faces of their own. Are you guys ready to start this party? Let's get into our first match of the day. We got the Fusion, we've got the Gladiators, and as we mentioned, a playoff spot is up for grabs. If the Gladiators want it, they gotta win both of their matches and keep their +3 map differential over Seoul. If Philly wants in, they have to win both their matches this week, but need Seoul to lose as well. What are the likelihood that we see both these squads finish top 3, Johnny?
Oh, that's very unlikely, I have to say. But I feel like people are sleeping a bit on Philadelphia. Obviously, they lost to London, Seoul, and New York. Meanwhile, the Los Angeles Gladiators, they actually beat the London Spitfire, so people are hyping them up. The addition of Fisher making a big difference. But I do not want to sell Philadelphia short, because looking at their performances throughout Stage 2, we can mention new players such as EQOB. Huge difference makers so far. So don't sleep on this team, because we've seen before that they can turn up and be real scary, and so the Gladiators cannot sleep on Philadelphia Fusion going into today's matchup.
This EQO guy is so scary. When you watch him, most of the highlights we're seeing here are Genji. What other heroes should we expect to see from him today?
Well, that's the thing, right? He can play all of these heroes. We see the Widowmaker, the McCree, the Soldier, the Genji. We have other players in the league, such as Tvik, of course, and they are so good at multiple heroes. So EQO is a future star simply because he is so versatile on all the different heroes.
And we saw that skill translate to actually spawn camping the Dallas Fuel, and that might look like a very mean thing to do, but I actually have only praise for this, because what that means is that this team is willing to exploit the weaknesses and the mistakes that a team makes to the extreme. They try to minimize their own errors and maximize where they can gain advantages, so they're very unforgiving, and if anybody's up against them, they're going to have to cut their losses short a lot.
Spawn camping at the pro level, it doesn't get much more embarrassing than that. So that's what we saw out of Philadelphia. Let's talk about their opponents today, the hometown squad of the Gladiators. What have they shown us so far in Stage 2?
Well, you know, Puckett, in Stage 1, Gladiators mainly played dive. We knew what to expect when they took to the stage. But in Stage 2, after the first week, they actually started to really widen their compositional horizon, if you will. They've been showing up with so many different strats, so many different team compositions, and really showed us a deep hero pool from all of their players, which went as far as putting their support players onto Tracers. Shaz has been playing Tracer. We saw Hydration on Lucio, and I think Big Goose was on Sombra, and they performed splendid. So with the addition to Fisher, their team looks completely different. Very strong this stage.
Splendid, I love it.
Splendid.
Well,
yeah, it was splendid.
One of the things about Gladiators, as you mentioned, so is the flexibility, and a cool little nugget is that Hydration, he's one of the most flexible players DPS in the Overwatch League, and it turns out that his idol and role model for playing DPS is none other than his own teammate, Sureforce. So that is another reason why you see this team just improving meteorically. You have the DPS department now shoring up their weaknesses and working alongside Fissure, and and it's really refreshing to see that these guys get along to that level.
Johnny, what's the greater honor, playing alongside your idol, Surefour, or replacing him in the starting lineup?
Oh, that's not very nice, is it? I think actually playing alongside him is really nice. Hydration has spoken about it in the past. We had an interview with Malik, of course, and he said that Surefour gives Hydration a lot of advice on how to perform, of course. So just having someone which you can rely on and get those advice from is a great thing to do. So we've seen the improvements from Hydration throughout Stage 2 so far.
Two of these squads, both of them up and coming, improving massively every single match. Today, we find out who is going to have a better chance locking up a spot in our Sunday playoffs. Let's start with predictions. We got Crumbs going first. Who do you side with today? Is it Philadelphia getting the much-needed win, or do Gladiators retain that number 3 spot?
Well, looking at this match, I had a lot of time to think about this, and I'm going to go with the Gladiators because I think that the Gladiators' flexibility has proven incredibly valuable. And on top of that, from what I've been seeing from Shaz and Big Goose, they have been clutching so much that I think that they're just going to bring that once more.
We got some Gladiators fans in the audience today cheering alongside with Crumbs. Where are you going today, Johnny?
Well, in Stage 1, I did a mistake, and I started sleeping on a team which was drastically improving. That was the Houston Outlaws. In Stage 2, I've been sleeping a bit on the Los Angeles Gladiators as well. They've been looking so good. But today I'm going with the Philadelphia Fusion, baby, because those DPS players are some of the sickest in the league. Carpe and EQO will be the difference makers today.
You caught me off guard. All right, 1 for 1. It's time for the tiebreaker. We're going to Zoe to close this out.
I hate this one. I honestly think this is so hard to predict because both teams have been performing on such a high level. But I actually do think that the Gladiators are gonna walk off this stage victorious today. I just think that overall they have been looking a lot more consistent than what we saw from the Fusion.
I'm told the players are ready. You see 2 of our analysts going with the Gladiators. Johnny's going for the Philadelphia Fusion. The match is ready, and it starts right now.
And Gladiators just crushing this fight on the point.
And the Philadelphia Fusion, they've seen the cheese, now they're bringing the steak.
Oh, but there's a double kill for Asher.
Shaz is insane, by the way. And Carpe cleans house, and it's a party now. That is some sick Overwatch.
Los Angeles, make some noise and welcome to the stage. It's your Gladiators. So much love in the room today. It's Wednesday and we have a sold-out house. This squad finished 8th seed in Stage 1. They're currently the number 3 seed in Stage 2. They control their destiny this week. All they need, 2 more wins before the playoffs.
Oh, it seems like they're doing something special for us.
We had some shields up, shields down,
Shields and
back
caves.
to the fan. I like that.
Shields and Caves defense is the name of the game in this assault map, so definitely going to need those shields today.
Johnny, when you're looking at this squad, scariest player to face off against if you're the Fusion?
Well, usually Asher has been the most consistent one, but we spoke about Hydration in the pre-game, and to me, Hydration needs to turn up today. He's facing up versus EQO and Carpe, 2 very dangerous players, and he has to go up against those 2 to actually get a win today.
And I got to talk to the team a little bit coming into this match and also ask a little bit about their progression from Stage 1 to Stage 2. And they said that they used Stage 1 to put structures into place, make sure that certain behaviors were habitual. And they feel that if the basics are not a habit for the players, it's really hard to judge whether certain strats and stuff work. But now that everything became a habit, they are able to have those different compositions and strats. That's been working great for them.
I want to see how much Doomfist is going to be in play today. That's a look at your Gladiators. It's now time to introduce their opponent. Please put your hands together and welcome to the stage, the Philadelphia Fusion. 11-7 overall, but they've got 5 of their wins so far in Stage 2. Johnny, you said this is the team to look out for. So much young talent.
Definitely. I've spoken about the DPS players, but I also want to give a shout out to Neptuno, the deadliest Lucio in the league. He has to turn up today as well and actually defeat Asher on the Tracer, of course. Protecting the backline of Boombox will be a great match today.
Neptuno, one of the old guard on this squad, alongside Fraggy, balancing out this team. Zoe, when you look at this squad, what should we expect from them today?
I mean, greatness. That's what I'm expecting from the Fusion. And one of the things a lot of viewers are always curious to see when they take into the stages, who are they going to field? Will we see Shadowburn? Are we seeing Carpe? Who's going to be in? Who is out? And I talked to them about it, and they said that the viewers have a lot of misconceptions about some of our players in-game or the hero pools of the different players. Some of the roster swaps swaps they have made might seem strange to the viewer's perspective, but they also told me to remind everyone that they, as coaches, they're the only ones who see the players perform every single day. So the decisions they make are very specific and very reasonable.
Yeah, speaking of specific decisions, we saw Snillo up against opponents that you would normally not field your entire A roster. It was Dallas fielding the Shanghai Dragons, but now this is the chance for the Philadelphia Fusion to really prove themselves. Sure, they lost against the top 3, but here the Gladiators have taken one of those down. By taking a win over the Gladiators, they would certainly cement themselves in that top 4 to top 5 spot.
Carpe versus Asher. The Tracer battle is the fight to watch for me. There are your teams. It's the Gladiators. It's the Fusion. It's time to introduce your casters. Let's send it over to Monty and Doa.
Thank you, Puckett, and welcome everybody to the final week of Stage 2. That's right, like Crumbs' mustache tells us, it's playoff week, and I couldn't be more pumped, man.
Are we making that a thing?
We could. I mean, I don't know if, you must say, I don't know. I'm not so sure, but I might be tempted.
Just for Crumbs. He can have the playoff mustache.
Crumbs grows much better facial hair than many people I know, including me.
Definitely
So,
me.
There you go, yeah. But you know what? Facial hair aside, guys, there's my segue, Monty. We're going to move into our first match. It's going to be LA Gladiators taking on the Philadelphia Fusion. I'm really excited about this one because it's a battle for third place, and it's a battle with two teams that have a ton going for them right now.
Yeah, both of these teams still in the hunt for the Stage 2 playoffs. It will be harder for the Philadelphia Fusion to make it, even if they are successful tonight, because it will require the Seoul Dynasty to drop a match this week. But that aside, Gladiators, they're still fighting for their lives. You know, we look at some of the other teams that are in the stage playoffs. It's unlikely that the Gladiators, barring a major upset, can climb higher than third place.
Right.
But there is very little room out of the teams in contention. They have the toughest schedule this week. They can really only afford to drop a map or two. Otherwise, they are going to find themselves on the outside looking in come Sunday.
Yeah, their destiny is in their own hands. And people may ask kind of why we're talking about a battle for third place. Well, if you look at where London is at right now, they've got a pretty soft week. And so you can kind of expect them to go 4-0 in both of their matches. That would really secure second place for them. So it really is kind of a fight for that third spot, that final playoff spot for Sunday's matches coming up.
Yeah, and if we do go to a head-to-head tiebreaker in terms of time maps as well for the Gladiators, because they lost to Seoul in Stage 2, that's going to be a problem for them. So they have to keep ahead. And Philadelphia Fusion, they can still win this out. They can keep their playoff hopes alive, but their fate is not entirely in their own hands.
Well, they had a tough couple weeks, right? Because they played Seoul and New York, and they took a map off of both of those teams. They performed well. Then last week, they had those easier matches in Shanghai and Dallas. They crushed them both 4-0. So I feel like they're coming into this one pretty strong, despite, you know, like you said, having a bit tougher go of it. They need to perform at their peak. But hey, that's how it is on playoff weekend, man.
That's how it is indeed. Exciting times. We get every 5 weeks here, and it will be dive versus dive. Tracer Genji duos for both teams. Neptuno is going to be running the Ana, and everyone can fall into the back right corner if you're on the attack to get the biotic grenade if they do dive that deep.
That's a hope. Ooh, Fissure nearly taken down. He had to exit that fight in a hurry. Gladiators, of course, on their attack. Philadelphia Fusion. See what they can do on the defense.
Yeah, they're feeding a lot of ult charge over to the Ana already, though.
True enough.
As you can see, Hydration poking in from the top. They're going to try and dive the supports in the back corner. Everybody's there.
Ana Zenyatta can be pretty vulnerable back there. There goes Neptuno. Talk about vulnerable. A kill for Hydration already. Shaz even picking one up. Hydration backs away off of the reflecting Gladiators, getting some serious control percent built up on this point already. They may just have A.
Yeah, that was a late reaction from the Fusion. Predictably, the Philadelphia Fusion DPS were going for the backline, and even though they got Shaz coming in, they weren't able to actually deal with the resets that we saw from Hydration in that hallway. So big commitment by the Gladiators. They did have to leave one of their supports high and dry, but it ends up paying off. So quick attack there. And Big Goose is getting dangerously close to a sound barrier. They may just poke in and see if they can get a blade and a barrier before they commence this attack.
And be solid. Gladiators winning the war of attrition on point A. Going back on point B. A little reflect in the boombox there. Got to be careful with that one. A little bit of art on the walls as Gladiators goes on the attack here. Up on the high ground, Pulse Bomb came in, didn't get anything though. EQO extremely low, had to back off to near spawn, I believe. Hydration biding his time,
Sound
waiting for that
barrier.
Dragon Blade. Oh, they lost Asher though. EQO managed to stay alive and get that one. Dragon Blade going in, they're gonna force a Transcendence. Out of the other side, Philadelphia Fusion using that support ultimate. Neptuno still on that nano boost now. Hydration staying alive with their own Zenyatta ultimate on the point, but it looks like they're gonna have to back away. Yeah, tanks down for the Gladiators, and that'll be that for the first attack on B.
Yeah, that was a big overcommitment from the Gladiators. When you use the sound barrier, Asher, as you noted, picked off at the start of that fight. So they thought maybe they could use the sound barrier and the Dragon Blade to move ahead and commit, but unfortunately, they also committed the Transcendence on their side a little bit late.
Yeah.
Which meant that they weren't able to finish that out or even really get a solid push this next time around. A lot of swaps coming through. Hydration on the Hog, Asher now on the Soldier, Big Goose on the Ana. So they're going to be playing high ground for picks now and poke.
Well, that's the thing is, if you get a pick with this composition, it becomes pretty easy to handle the respawns because you can't burn through all that HP as a defender, so they're going to go for it. Our base sneaking around the side here. Fissure gets the early kill on a Boombox. Wow, how in the world did he manage to find that one?
Boombox was alone on the opposite high ground. That's a big positional error from the Gladiators.
Well, Fraggy in there has to pop that Primal Rage and just trying to disrupt the Gladiators. They've nearly got one tick already. Gets Shaz, but Neptuno down as well. Both supports out of commission for Fusion. Boombox just now getting back to the fight. Asher down, Carpe with a big pick on the Pulse Bomb, so maybe that'd be enough, but a hook comes in for Hydration. They're gonna chain that into another kill onto Boombox. EQO, meanwhile, standing strong on the point, has a Dragon Blade, but it's gonna be hard to use it against all these tanks. Hydration
Carpe's
does
cleaning
fall, though. Yeah, Carpe making a big difference for Fusion right now.
Yeah, only the tanks at the end, but that was a big commitment from the Fusion because of Boombox's death. Due to being alone on the high ground, they actually have to pop quite a bit. They need to use the Primal Rage instantly. They have to use the Nano Boost. And so a little bit of problems there for the Fusion. They do hold on. They don't give up any ticks, but they use more of their ults than they would have liked.
I mean, we see Boombox get a lot of big picks on the Zenyatta, but, you know, to get those, sometimes you need to put yourself in a position that's a little bit more diveable. And when you're playing against a team like Gladiators, you really can't give them those opportunities.
Yeah, or you just need to have better coverage from your tanks, but they didn't respond to Fissure soloing him up on that high ground. So now Carpe back to another Pulse Bomb, though, after farming the tanks at the end of that fight, even though he used it.
That's
Pretty
right.
quick charge.
A little hallway action for Gladiators trying to... Oh, Asher, they lose him already.
He was hit by a biotic grenade, so the field couldn't actually heal him up.
Yeah, that's right. Hydration's gonna get taken down as well, and Gladiators on the retreat. Carpe just harassing as they fall out, looking if he can get a couple staggered picks maybe.
And this is honestly huge. Gladiators have suffered from a couple of key picks from the Fusion, and so even when they've had big pushes that should have worked with an advantage in their ult economy, they lose at the start and then allow Philly to equal them out when it comes to ults. So we're back in a scenario where Philly's going to be in just fine shape to defend here.
Yeah, a lot of ultimates on their side right now. They can be efficient with it. They can defend for quite a while. Down to 3 minutes now in the time bank for Gladiators as they go onto the high ground. We got the nano boost being used here. Neptuno dropping that one onto Fraggy. Fissure, meanwhile, backing away. A little bit low health. They're going to use the whole hog to push Philadelphia back down to the point. And here comes the dive. Oh, the hook onto Fraggy. Asher, meanwhile, just eating people up with this tack visor. Despite the fact the Transcendence was down, he still got two. Maybe that Zen ult a bit late for Boombox. Another hook. Boombox taken out by the self-destructive Bijou, and Gladiators, great shot. Fissure taking Proko down before he can get back in the mech. And now Gladiators, they just gotta fight off this Dragon Blade. Can they do it? Looks like maybe they're gonna have a bit of trouble with it as EQO finds Big Goose, both supports down, and man, Gladiators were so close, but they have to back off.
That was very well played by both of the teams. Fraggy saving his Primal Rage until the end, giving them time to get the respawns through. Only that one tick on B accomplished from the Gladiators, but things started so well. The chip damage was healed up by a biotic grenade and a Transcendence. You can see they set up on the high ground for the Nano Visor, and that hook pulling Fraggy away opened up the sight lines for Asher to get a couple of big kills.
Yeah.
Now everybody investing everything. Carpe once again with a Pulse Bomb looking for targets.
Yeah, being pretty sneaky. He's gonna try to go around the outside maybe. Just wait for them to go past. On the stairway now.
Yeah, wants these supports.
Very careful here.
Nothing really to stop him right now. A lot of poking back in. Hydration is
man.
on the back of the point.
Oh, Shaz sees him. Okay, they know where Carpe is. Neptuno down, big hook from Hydration. Carpe drops a pulse bomb, no kills out of that one. They needed him to come up big. He wasn't able to deliver. Meanwhile, Asher in that biotic field, firing into the Transcendence from Boombox. Fissure, Hydration, both down. So once again, Gladiators get stuffed on the attack.
That was very nearly in the Gladiators' favor, though.
Asher.
Hydration crept down the staircase around the backside of the point to pick off Neptuno, and then Big Goose used his nano boost with Fissure diving in, but fortunately, the Fusion, their DPS are patient. They're able to get into the back lines. That makes a difference. Gladiators coming up now with a Transcendence.
Only 45 seconds remaining for Gladiators' attack here, and after losing A so fast, man, what a pretty sick effort by the Fusion to defend for this long. Gladiators, they need to get something done right now.
Yeah, they do. This is their last push, but they're going to have some tools for it, Doa.
Yeah, that's right. They're going to maybe commit that Transcendence, waiting for it right now. We will see. Meanwhile, there's a DMEC on the Bishu, and Ashu down the Transcendence. Couldn't keep them up. It was maybe a bit late here. Meanwhile, EQO forced out, very low health, manages to dodge Fissure. They're going to give him the nano boost, and here comes a blade. Shaz down, though, doesn't get the reset, but he does get the slashes.
Well, that's going to be it, Doa.
I think it should
Gladiators
be
are
enough.
going to be stopped right here.
Yep, that's right. They got to try to come back in. Hydration went for the hook, got reflected. Desperation as Big Goose falls, and nobody gets to the point. Fantastic defense for Philadelphia Fusion, holding Gladiators to just one tick on B, despite losing A about as fast as you can.
Yeah, that was a still spectacular Overwatch from both of these teams.
Sure
Great
was.
adaptations.
That's right. So let's listen in with the Gladiators as they assaulted point A.
Speed up. I'm going We're up one. Ring point for heals. Amber heals.
Genji Dark. Sends around two. They get out.
Send kill himself. Genji went out.
I'm gonna remake. I'll take remake. Okay.
Well, it's like you said, Monte Cristo. I mean, the Gladiators recognizing the supports for Fusion were vulnerable, they went for the dive.
Yeah, that, and also they left Shaz to die, unfortunately, but it was basically a 5-on-3 inside that building, especially with the Genji, makes a big difference. And honestly, if you are going to be the Fusion and you're going to play with the Ana, you should be catching the dive. The entire purpose of playing the Ana on in that location on Hanamura is to biotic grenade when the enemy dives in. And they didn't do that. They tried to counter dive instead. So it's not really playing with the strengths of the comp in my mind. And that was a bit of a struggle. However, they played beautifully on that defense coming in. So on to point B. So Fusion showing some more of their mastery with the Genji Tracer composition.
Very true. I always feel so conflicted in the spawn for Hanamura because you're in an arcade, but everyone around you is shooting up all the arcade machines. I'm like, guys, we love video games. Why are you doing this?
It's too fun.
It feels so strange. I feel like there's some like really deep psychological thing that's going on in there that Blizzard is trying to bring out.
You've done it too, Doa.
I have it. And then I'm like, why am I doing this? Why this destruction? We need the government to investigate. Gladiators on the defense now. Philadelphia Fusion on the attack. If they can take just a tick on point B, a little bit more than that, they can win this map.
Just over 50% is all they need.
Carpe have the recall already, and that duel with Asher to start things off. Fusion poking at the door. See if they decide to go in any farther. Carpe just farming that ultimate. There's a dive from Gladiators. Boombox down early. A vulnerability was sniffed out by the Gladiators. They're going to come up big on the aggressive defense.
And that's how you want to position if you're playing a dive comp on the defense with the Ana. You'll notice that they're playing around the corner, so staying out of sight lines, but they're within diving distance outside of the choke, as well as counter diving distance to get back where Big Goose and Shaz are right now. So this is a better defense than we saw from the Fusion, and that time they do find the chip damage onto Boombox and exploit it immediately.
Sure enough. EQO hiding. Whoa, Hydration! This corner is only suitable for one Genji hiding. That's going to be EQO. Now Gladiators down someone. They're going to go for the dive. They can put the nano boost onto Fissure. They need to win a defensive fight here. But the sound barrier for Neptuno keeping the Gladiators back. Fusion stays healthy, and they are on to point A. They lost Fraggy, but they should have enough. Reflect. Oh, Sleep Dart misses, and despite the grenade, I think Big Goose. Oh, they got each other. Oh, Oh man, that was a bit embarrassing for EQO, but so entertaining.
Yeah, Carpe there for the tactical crouch to round things up as
Right.
usual.
You
as
never
well.
know when someone switches to Widowmaker, you got a tactical crouch, man.
Yeah, that's
you
right.
gotta duck those shots.
It's good to see Carpe back this week, I will say.
That's right.
Still played well last week, but
Sure
there's a
did.
certain flair to the way that Carpe plays.
A certain take on strategy that we don't see from every player in the league. Not yet.
Not yet. All right, Shaz with the trance will be matched by Boombox. Both DPS
that
ults up
grenade.
for the fusion.
And not going the direction Carpe would have wished, I think. Transcendence used by Shaz. Felt a bit of pressure coming in. They do get Fraggy out of it. Now EQO sneaking up behind. See if he can maybe pull out that Dragon Blade.
Yeah, they
lost Fraggy though, so.
They were scared of a snowball, the Gladiators, so they wanted to
Yeah.
use Trance proactively to try and get a pickoff and stabilize it. They weren't behind really in the ult economy, but it's nice you buy some extra time there, all things considered. But,
Sure.
But now the problem is you don't have a big defensive support ult to deal with EQO's Dragon Blade.
That's right. Gladiators falling back to the low ground for a moment. EQO's had that Dragon Blade for a little while. Looks like Philadelphia Fusion surrounding. Now they're going to give hydration on the other side. That Nano Blade going to cut Poco out of his mech like a tin of sardines.
Is that how you cut a Poco out of his mech?
That's right. I use a katana. That's what I do at home, Monty. Hardcore cooking.
Thought Carpe was the fish in this match. not the
That is true.
Poco sardines.
Touche. Either way, Philadelphia Fusion having to back off a bit. Remember, they only need half of that control meter to win this map, and they've got a lot of time to get it.
Yeah, Philly's fine too. I mean, they don't really care about, like you're saying, pushing for a little bit of the point right now. If they can just get that one big push in, which is why they're saving so many ults, they're going to try for it now.
That's right. Early kill onto Fissure. Good start. EQO gets the healing as he looks for more victims. They've got Asher so low. Now the sound barrier for Philadelphia Fusion. The fight continues. Asher in a lot of trouble. Goes down. Gets cut. EQO takes out the on the other side. Big Goose can't stay alive. And Bishu not able to come up big with anything on the Diva. Now Shaz with the last second. Transcendence. Try to maybe give Bishu and the mini Diva some room to shoot, but that's not going to work. Philadelphia Fusion, firm control over point B right now. Hydration cut down before he gets there. They've nearly got it. Map 1 going to Philadelphia Fusion.
Clean play on that attack. Great patience from EQO on the blade. They bled the Gladiators out of resources, knowing that they only had to get a little bit over 50%.
Yeah.
Build up that big ult bank and go for broke. That's what the Philadelphia Fusion do, and they are rewarded with the first game win of this series.
Yeah, great methodical play. When all you need to be is a battering ram, you just save up that energy and then deliver it all at once. Works for Philadelphia Fusion. They will jump out ahead in this crucial match as we look towards playoff Sunday. Carpe, get those sick pulse bombs, guys. Don't go anywhere. We're going to come back with our control map right after this short break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
right, Hydration. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good.
The man with one of the most recognizable names in the league. So let's take it back to like where you came from. You're actually like breaking some new grounds here. You're like the only Brazilian player in the league, the first. How does it feel knowing that you're kind of representing your entire country coming here in the Overwatch League?
There's a lot of pressure on me, but it definitely feels amazing.
Yeah.
It's like having a whole country behind you, supporting you. It's a really good feeling.
You were born and raised in Brazil, right?
Right.
And then you came over to the States.
Yeah, when I was about 7 years old, I moved from Brazil to the US. I moved to North Carolina, and I lived there for about 2 years until I flew to China with my family. And we lived in China for 2 years, and I went to an international school that was like 50% Korean. I got to like grow up around this like culture of like StarCraft, so that was really cool.
And then the Overwatch League comes about, and you get this opportunity, and you're playing next to Surefour and Asher. How's the experience been playing next to those two guys at the same position, kind of learning from these guys who have like a history in the game?
It's crazy. Like, we've been improving quite fast just from like being able to learn from each other.
Oh my lord! Agapun just gets knocked off the map. Hydration and Asher just trying to one-up each other. It's so filthy.
How has it been for you kind of adjusting to that and being able to communicate with somebody like Fisher?
It's been a bit bumpy at the start because Bishu was mainly focusing on translating and not so much in the game. But it's been a lot better now. Fisher's been picking up quite a bit of English.
And Fisher just battling around the members of Dallas. That's a big fight win for the Gladiators.
How are you feeling about the team overall, man? Because you guys have come a long way, and we've all been able to witness the improvement up until now.
We're pretty confident. We have a lot planned, and we're like a different team now.
Oh my God, what a game mode!
And the Gladiators will claim this series.
I guess my last question for you will be, who's been like your main inspiration as a player?
My biggest inspiration has to be Surefour. I used to watch his streams back in the beta days, and he's just like someone who I really looked up to because he can play all these different heroes at a very high level.
That's kind of crazy that you actually ended up on his team after all was said and done. Well, yo, thank you so much, man. I appreciate you coming and sitting down here and hanging with us.
Yeah, it's been fun.
Cool, man. Good luck.
Thank you.
Quite the laid-back fella that guy Hydration was. And yeah, guys, that was on point. That was my way of sitting down with the players and getting to know them in a more informal setting. You know, they're here at the arena practicing all day, and I figured, hey, why don't we sit down, have an informal conversation? So if you guys want to check out On Point, make sure you check out Watch Point every Monday and Tuesday on OverwatchLeague.com. And with that, guys, let's go ahead and get back into the match with our casters, Monty and Doe.
All right, thank you, Malik. Yeah, cool to learn a bit more about Hydration. It's been awesome to see him come up through stage 1, through stage 2, now starting to be such a dominant force in the DPS role on Gladiators. And yeah, if you want to see like Monte Cristo in a big curly wig and sunglasses, Watch Point is definitely the show for you.
We do have fun, don't we, Doa? We
do indeed. Yep. So we've been doctors. I dressed as Mercy. We were in a time machine. It's been a crazy stage, actually. Yeah. Well, guys, it's been a crazy map 1 as well. Hanamura going 2-1 over to Fusion. Now we head to our control map. It's going to be Nepal. There it is on your screen right now.
Yeah, and as we look at some of the records of the Philadelphia Fusion and the Gladiators moving through this stage, really, Assault has been a weak map type for the Gladiators, so that's the one where we really expected, I think, the Fusion to have their best chance of winning across the maps that we have here today. And conversely, Fusion has not been spectacular on Control in general and is 1-3 on Nepal. Yeah. Meanwhile, Control has been very strong for the Gladiators, so definitely a chance for them to tie up this series heading into halftime. But it's really when we get into the second half that we're going to see some great maps, because that's where both of these teams have really been shining. So I'm very much excited to see our hybrid and escort maps later on.
Yeah, should be fun. Both of these teams with winning records in the stage on both of the maps after this, so
yeah,
that'll be pretty sick. But Fusion right now overall in the Overwatch League 12-12 on Control. So winning this map or losing this map determines if they are a winning or losing team on the map type.
Yeah, and I think we're going to see whether or not we're going to get both teams playing dive as they have previously on Shrine, even though that most teams prefer to play Soldier Tracer because of the sort of medium range sight lines around this point, but it's not what we're going to get. No, it will be dive v dive.
That's right, the Tracer Genji out for both sides again, just like we saw on Hanamura. Gladiators in the white and purple, Philadelphia Fusion in the orange. So get started here on Shrine. Fusion up one map in this series. Big playoff implications with this one as well. Both teams kind of fighting for their lives. That chance to go to playoff Sunday.
Yeah, and this is
third place spot.
Yeah, this is where both these teams are just going to be poking at each other before the control point unlocks. If they can chip somebody down far enough, you may see the dive engage, but no one's been getting low enough to play right now.
Gladiators maneuvering a bit farther forward than Fusion. They're going to take the aggressive stance, falling back a little bit now. Nobody dying just yet. As soon as I say that, though, that's usually the cue for somebody to fall.
Yeah, it's just going to be a battle back and forth, tug of war on the point right now. Looks like Gladiators are going in.
Oh, 2 down immediately. EQO finds his Genji counterpart in Hydration. Boombox falling via Bishu on the other side. Now Bishu getting D-Mech. Gladiators a little bit short-handed here as Fusion comes in. Now very short-handed as EQO just slashing through everybody.
And Poco not getting D-Mech is absolutely huge here.
Oh.
So what the Gladiators did was they spent time, instead of disengaging, rushing for the mech. And they actually may pull this out thanks to the Primal Rage from Fissure.
Hey, I mean, they may need a bit more than that, but yeah, Fissure doing work with that ultimate on Winston. Carpe has to back away, won a couple duels on his own, but
that was saved by Fissure, really, coming in there because
what else is new, right?
Yeah, what else is new since he joined this Gladiators roster? Bit of a desperate situation, but they're all in works, surprisingly, and Philadelphia not going to start getting any percentage on the point despite winning the initial part of that skirmish.
Asher being an annoying threat from the side here. Ooh, has to recall, got a little bit low. Oh, but he gets fraggy as he comes back in again. Fusion pushed back to spawn almost immediately. They're gonna burn the Transcendence on that. That's a bit surprising. They're gonna need more though. EQO using that blade. They might be able to turn this one around actually. They're gonna have Fraggy back again. So maybe now with the man advantage, they can just jump on the point. I think that's going to be the plan. Oh, EQO caught though by the self-destruct from Bishu. Gladiators not done holding this quite yet.
Bishu is still alive on the point, even though Hydration dies on the flank. Sound barrier used, only 4 members of the Gladiators here to take advantage of it.
Man, they are just trying to delay this as long as they possibly can, and they get Boombox. Oh, Big Goose down 2, supports falling on both sides, so they're not done just yet. Gladiators over 60% now. Fraggy with the Primal Rage, just zoning people away. They've dealt with Fissure. Can they actually flip the point, though? They're so close. You figure they got to get it eventually here.
Yes, but the Gladiators are doing great work of just staggering onto the point one by one. It got them about additional 20% at the end of that fight, and they are lucky Fissure didn't get that Primal Rage, or it would have been longer.
Yeah,
so they
has it right now, in fact.
Yeah, they make Philly fight for every inch of that. Does come with a price, though. They do charge Neptuno back up to the sound barrier. They had to invest their own simply to grab additional percent. But Gladiators really only have to win one fight in order to close out this game. So they have some time to work with right now. If they can eco push and make Neptuno use the sound barrier, that's going to be a win.
Boombox down again. Fissure finds him. Good start for Gladiators here. They flip it back almost immediately. Oh, and there's a stick on the Shaz. Via Carpe did go down anyway. Shaz finding the headshots early on. Now EQO with that sound barrier. Looking to try to flip this one back for Philadelphia, but no, they don't have enough people to do it.
That's actually that's a ridiculous win from the Gladiators. That's not a situation they should have come out with. Their tank line doing work again to make an initial pick, and then this sound barrier has to come in with only a few members on the point. Now Philly has to fight into the trance. This is going to be rough.
And the dive already coming in from Gladiators. Philly going to use that Transcendence here. They have to use it before they even get to the point. Now EQO waiting it out. He's got the blade, looking for kills. Hydration falls. There goes Big Goose. EQO with 11 HP gets back to the big health pack. He's going to join the fight again in a moment. Philadelphia Fusion, though, coming out way on top of this one. And they may just be able to flip it back again.
And they will do it 99%. They get control one more time. EQO again with the Patient Dragon Blades. His decision-making around when to pull that ult has been very good so far this evening. Boombox with a very late stagger kill, too, onto Asher. That's problematic for the Gladiators. Lose about 10 seconds. Carpe on a long flank, as you can see right now. Nearly there with the pulse bomb.
got some time if you're the Gladiators, but you don't have a ton of time. Move in pretty quick here. Pulse bomb so close for Carpe. Gonna go to the back lines with that one. Takes out Shaz. Good dive from Fraggy to capitalize on that damage. There's the stick. Did they get the D-Mech onto Bishu? Hard to say. Looks like it was close. No, Bishu now he gets D-Mech. They did get it right at the very end. He couldn't get back and respond, and that is big because now they can just leave him as mini D.Va. He has to throw himself off the edge, and that's gonna cost Gladiators even more time.
Yes, it is, and they also delay long enough to bring their sound barrier up again. Philly playing well. That was a great dive onto Shaz right before he got the Transcendence, and they put themselves right back in the support ult game by dragging this one out.
Both teams are going to have full support ultimates for this fight. Gladiators coming in early. They're going to use that Transcendence first, probably going to sound barrier afterwards. Transcendence now from Fusion.
There's the sound barrier.
Back in. Yep, those ults getting a little bit layered on the Fusion side, but they do push Gladiators back for the moment. EQO has to stay safe until he finds a good blade location here. Gonna loop around the side. Maybe, yeah, some vulnerable people in the back lines. He saw D.Va go the other way. Hydration, there's a duel. If he can finish him off, he's free and clear to go for the blade. But now, Fissure taken out by the Pulse Bomb. He got one on the Fraggy. Oh, nice shot from Shaz to get EQO, and that's going to be point A taken by the Gladiators. Pulling it out.
Helping out, too, with his own Dragon Blade, finding EQO. And that is a great closure from the side of the Gladiators. That last fight could definitely have gone either way. And it was all about who got the value from the Dragon Blade at the end, and it was Hydration. So that is going to send us now to Village. The Gladiators up 1-0.
You know, it's fun to see a bunch of different compositions, but there's really something to be said for two teams playing the same thing well, because then it comes down to like a game of inches, right? Where it's who gets a slightly better ultimate, which team coordinates or dives slightly better, and it's fun to watch these matchups. But as I say that, now we are going to have differences in composition. Hydration going for his famous Pharah here on Village. Can't blame him. This guy has been pretty amazing on this hero. Already covering the door. The Rocket already setting up Asher for the kill onto Boombox. A great start. There's one onto EQO. Philly unable to handle Pharah right away. Wow. Talk about accuracy.
Wow, both of the DPS down in a heartbeat for the Philadelphia Fusion.
McCree's just over there on the side being like, oh, that guy's pretty
not even hit scan either, so this will be an early cap now for the Gladiators. Dominant push from the purple team as they move straight onto the doorway, get a support early, and then both of the DPS. Hydration will be feeling great about that as he tries to stall the Fusion out. Fusion, now they're playing dive again, even though they have run a little bit of Roadhog here at times on Village.
That's not bad on this point. You get a lot of good hook opportunities with a smaller point. Philadelphia trying to flip it. The Gladiators right there. 20% for them already. Carpe just being annoying on that point. Asher has to run back for the health pack, dodging a little bit. And Philadelphia getting really close to flipping this one. Gladiators, they can't let them sneak it away. Okay, now they push it back again. All right, they'll hold it for now. Backing off to get a bit of healing on the DPS and the tanks.
Philly is going to have a tough time pushing into this right now.
Big ult advantage for Gladiators too.
Yeah, they've got to just eco push a little bit more, try and take a little bit of poke from the Pharah to charge up Boombox and Neptuno, but it's probably going to take him another 2 push, barring some big pick on the side of the Fusion to really make a play for the point.
Oh, Asher tried to go for the stick, didn't hit it, didn't get anything with that Pulse Bomb. Hydration. Oh, the healing from the Transcendence keeps him alive during the barrage. EQO, though, with that sound barrier with the blade, looking to equalize, takes on Big Goose, but that's all he's going to get. Philadelphia on the other side, though, the rest of the team finishing this fight off for him, and even though they lose Carpe, they will flip the point.
Yeah, they're going to flip the point, though. I think Gladiators committed so many resources to that barrage, and the barrage really didn't pick up anything at all.
Now, they kept him alive, but they didn't get any kills out of it.
Yeah, that was, I think, a questionable setup because it allowed Fusion to basically ignore a lot of the fighting within the trance itself and ignore the barrage and then rush the point.
Yeah, it gets challenging now, too. If you're running this Pharah, it's much easier to defend on a control map with the Pharah than it is to attack the point. So he's about halfway to his barrage. I wonder if we're going to see him swap. He's not doing it quite yet. Big Goose super low. Oh, Fissure down already. Boombox with a great pick there. Fraggy popping that Primal Rage all over Shaz right now. And he's going to find Asher in the house as well. Asher really low, barely got away. Whoa, it's a great Tracer chase, and finally Neptuno finds him. He had to face the music.
He did face
Literally.
the music. Put his face straight in that music.
That's right.
Got bumped back to his death. And
Felt the bass.
that's another stagger kill. So Fusion, the staggers have been good for them in this series. And now they're looking to use this Transcendence on the point. Yet again, Shaz still a ways away from that ultimate. Philly gonna surpass in terms of control percent soon. Fissure gonna go right in though.
Yeah, well, that's kind of what Fissure does. He's got about half health. He might get taken out.
Got
Little
Primal.
bit trouble. Yep, Primal Rage. He has it if he uses it. Did use it. Now Transcendence coming in. Gladiators assaulting the point. They're going to use a barrage again with that Transcendence to keep Hydration alive. Boombox falling. Early on, Hydration's like, wait a minute, I'm not supposed to be in here. Backs away now. Goodbye, Fraggy. And Gladiators may have done enough to flip it. They have.
While Fissure that time zoned out both of the Fusion supports. He killed Boombox and he killed Neptuno, and they were nowhere near to the team to provide any healing. So thanks to Fissure and his zoning, that creates a big, big win.
Oh, EQO down already.
Yeah, Gladiator's able to fight that trance. Big Goose about to get that sound barrier. Neptuno's gonna have to drop the beat now.
Yep, he does. So Philadelphia with the extra shields. They got to stay alive, though. A lot of damage coming in on Poco there. Go! Goodbye, Fraggy. Sound barrier for Gladiators, and they are in prime position to flip this one back. I don't think there's a whole lot Carpe can do on his own here.
EQL might be able to do something. He needs to get a big, big blade right now.
This has to be the best blade in history here. Meanwhile, Gladiators do flip the point. Yeah, and EQO can't get anything done with it. He had to try, right? But in the end, it's going to be Gladiators getting the 2-0 on Nepal.
Maps have gone the way we thought they would coming in. Philly with the win on Assault.
Yep.
And Gladiators with the win on Control. But past this point, after halftime, it's going to get a lot more interesting. We expect some tight battles on Hybrid and on Escort.
That's right. We are all tied up between LA Gladiators and Philadelphia Fusion, guys. Don't go anywhere. We will be back with a halftime discussion on the desk after this break, and I can't wait, man. These next two maps are going to be great. I love this whole week. This is what we've been waiting for all stage. It's going to be awesome. It's been awesome. We'll see you in just a few.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. And by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network.
Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. The Fusion took Hanamura pretty easily, but it's the Gladiators and Hydration answering back on Nepal after 2 games. We're all tied up 1 apiece. This is a great series already. Welcome back to the desk, everybody. It's halftime. I'm Puckett. You know the crew. Today, it's Crumbs alongside the great Reinforced, the tank, the greatest tank of all time.
Are you
Or
referencing
Fissure,
by
Kick
height or
America.
by skill?
All the above.
All the above. Yep.
Johnny, let's start here with Nepal. Now, coming into this match, what were you expecting to see from our 2 teams? Because we talked about Gladiators in the past. They've shown us dive.
Yep.
What were they showing us here to kick off the
Well, I was expecting a lot of dive, and we saw Hydration in the lineup, which means Genji, of course, but they don't really have a solid Soldier player overall, so they actually put Asher on the Soldier, usually the Tracer player, put Hydration on the Road Dogg, and they try to create a lot of space for Asher. Now, sometimes he had his moments, not working out thus far, and it really was the Philadelphia show on Hanamura.
Yeah, I think we have some stats to actually highlight how that wasn't working, because when you're running the Soldier and the Ana, these hit-scan heroes, it's going to be really hard to hit the mobile DPS of the Tracer and the Genji. So EQO and Carpet combined against the support of the Gladiators went 9-1.
9-1.
Yeah, that's a pretty whopping stat, whereas on the reverse, the supports of the DPS of the Gladiators against the support of Philly were just a mere 3-3. And so when you can't hit the DPS and they're just bouncing around and recalling all the time, you're going to have a hard time.
Can we talk about that Philly defense, though? Because Gladiators took point A in a minute. 60 seconds off the clock, you got point A. Now you're pushing in for point B. You have 7 minutes. Philadelphia doesn't give up 2 ticks. How'd they get it done on the defensive end?
Well, it's like what Crumbs talked about, right? You pick a Soldier and you try to focus down, you hit the tanks with the damage, of course, but it really was the Carpe and the EQO show, because those 2, they just flanked all from the sides, of course, on point B, and the really Gladiators couldn't shut those 2 down. We saw the Carpe coming from one side on the Tracer and Hydration from another one, or not Hydration, EQO, excuse me, of course, on the Genji. So really, because Gladiators were playing so passive, it allowed Philadelphia to actually set up the fights properly, set up the flanks, and execute the dive perfectly.
And they were actually very scared of EQ and Carper, because we saw Shaz just playing really far back the whole time, just knowing and respecting the Philadelphia dive, so that makes it even harder to try to collapse onto these DPS.
Fraggy had some great moments on that first map as well on Hanamura. Let's take a moment, though, and reflect on something the Gladiators taught us. Yes, Philly gets the win, but this was the moment of the match for me so far. For anyone who plays Zenyatta, learn this jump, but you're going to need your best friend, the Lucio. Johnny, you said you spent hours practicing this with your former team. How complicated is this? How can people do it at
really
home?
hard. You will see that Lucio hits his head and falls down. Oh no, he didn't do that, but he fell down. And it's so hard, actually, to execute this jump as a Zenyatta, because you have to do it perfectly. We in Misfits, we spent hours trying to speed boost Sebusai across. He was playing the Zenyatta by then, and it's really difficult jump to do. So the fact they executed it in a game, that's really impressive.
Try it in your quick play matches, not in your ranked
No,
games.
you're gonna fall down.
It's not just fancy too, though, because it actually allows you to now attack from the left-hand side, whereas pretty much every team always attacks from the right, or maybe sends Tracer to the left.
Very awesome moment. It didn't have any effect on the game. They lost its team play. Philly takes map 1. Let's go to map 2, though, because I felt like now this was time for Fissure to teach us how to play. The Gladiators on Nepal looking so much stronger than that first map, and even started things off here in this first fight. Fissure made his presence known on this map.
Yeah, for sure. And I said, wow, EQO, you know, he's so impressive in this very first fight. But we have some footage of Fissure. I mean, he just turned up in the first fight onto Shrine, of course. And he got kill after kill. You can see the kill feed. EQO. And then finally, Fissure just turns it up. Crumbs, you said, of course, that he actually built his Primal Rage before someone even caps the point. I mean, it's super impressive play coming out of Fissure. Knowing his limits, not going too far and dying, but still getting all of these kills, getting up into the face of Philadelphia, not being scared while not overextending.
And that was all after Hydration missed his dash. Hydration gets picked, you lose your Diva, you still win the point because Fissure somehow was let go by the London Spitfire. Let's talk about some of the other key moments, though, because it wasn't just Fissure. Gladiators seem to be back on point. Everyone knows where the squad should be going, and they're executing perfectly.
You say key moments for the Gladiators, but it's hard to highlight them without including Fissure, Puckett. I mean, this guy is all over the place, and we actually have an insights powered by Intel to highlight exactly what the Gladiators are doing and what allowed them to get that one of the winning pushes here on Nepal. So what I want you to look at is the supports, the Winstons, and the Genji. So you got Boombox right here, and he's going to be the main target for the Gladiators. The Zenyatas really like to play around this area because it's safe. You can always retreat to the back, and you can send your healing orbs very safely into the team fight. But what's going to happen is that they need to make a beeline for Boombox. And as we play this out, we look a little bit, okay, now they see where Boombox is out. You've got Asher that's trying to get a look here, and Fissure with his ultimate is going to try to collapse on this. And just look at the speed at which these guys execute. It's 1, 2, 3. He jumps in, uses Primal, gets the extra jump, buffs him off the map. No more Zenyatta. The fight's basically won. He already eliminated one support. He's dealing with the other tank, and the fight from that point onwards, it's all downhill for Philadelphia just because Fissure made such a heads-up play. Asher really wasn't involved. It was all the Fissure.
In Hydration, you saw, he's just looking for targets already off the map.
Well, crucially, I think that Gladiators as well, they get the point because Fissure is applying so much pressure onto the back line. So Gladiators, they can take all the positioning and they can be on the point and actually start capping before the fight is even over.
And you even had Chaz actually only have to 1v1 as Zenyatta, so that's a lot easier than trying to 1v1 a priming or Winston.
Yeah.
So
Fred,
that
he's
one
not in your face that time around. We like it. All right, so let's get to the end of halftime here with our predictions on the second half. You two were split before the match started. After watching 2 games, who is looking like the stronger team? I know it's been different game modes up to this point.
I think Philly is actually looking stronger, but they are looking stubborn because in that second map in Nepal, they really did not recognize the Pharah as a big threat and just try to deal with it with Genji and Tracer the entire time. No Soldier, no McCree, no nothing to try to deal with it, and I think that backfired for them.
Well, we might see that coming up next. Now, I expect the Philadelphia Fusion to continue their rampage and actually get the win here, because I think that Nepal sort of played into Fissure. It's a very close map, so as a Winston, you can sort of abuse that fact and, you know, jump around. But coming up next, I think it will really be the Carpe and EQO show.
So, Johnny, you're staying with your pick. You're staying with Philadelphia. What about you, Crumbs?
I'm staying with the Gladiators. I can't back off now. It's only halftime.
Brent's not on the desk. I like it. We got our picks secured. We'll find out how this one plays out. Halftime's over. When we come back, we're going to a big map 3. Hollywood is coming up next when we return.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota. Let's go places.
love that we are kicking off the week with a barn burner. We're all tied up 1-1 in this matchup between the Philadelphia Fusion and the LA Gladiators. Now, you know what? For all the crazy plays that we see from the top players like Fisher and EQO, these two teams have been playing very well coordinated. It's obvious to see that these guys really want to get to the stage playoffs. You know what? Speaking of the stage playoffs, there's a lot of people out there who are still questioning how this thing works. There's a lot of probabilities and a lot of teams still in the running. So here's a general overview of how it works.
As the Overwatch League enters the final week of Stage 2, it's time to get you set for the stage title matches. First, here's how it all works. The Overwatch regular season is broken into 4 5-week stages. At the conclusion of each individual stage, we have the stage title matches, pitting the top 3 teams in the standings against each other. For teams with the same record, the tiebreakers are cumulative map differential, followed by head-to-head map differential, then head-to-head record. On Sunday following the end of Stage 2, the second and third place finishers will face off, with the winner taking on the number 1 team for a chance to take the title of stage champion. So, what's at stake other than bragging rights? Try $100,000 to the winning team and $25,000 to the runner-up. The competition has taken Overwatch League to a new level, and this week's Stage 2 title matches will reveal who rises to the top.
That's right. So that's what you can look forward to on Sunday. A lot of exciting matches. Well, 2 very exciting matches, in fact, and that winner going home with an extra $100,000. It's a good chunk of dough.
It is. It's a nice chunk of dough, as they say.
Dough. That's right. Hey, well, there's a good DPS coming in for Surefour, or for Asher, rather. It's going to be Surefour as we look ahead to Hollywood. And over on the other side, Philadelphia Fusion putting in Snillo, now of age. He's going to sub in for EQO. And we're going to Hollywood. What do you think this means, Monte Cristo?
I am actually not entirely sure what this means.
Oh.
Obviously, they're trading in for a Tracer, so if they are going to run Carpe Snillo, you can run Widowmaker and Tracer, but you can do that with EQO, who's been good on the Widow too. So what I think this means, Doa, is Junkrat on defense.
Carpe
That's
Snillo.
my best guess.
That's probably right.
Well, we're going to see what it is. I think it's because you can play Tracer Widow with a Junkrat. That's going to be my guess.
Sure.
On the defense, usually we see teams run Widow on point B almost all the time. Now, on the side of the Gladiators, I am very interested to see what they do with this attack, because they run Fissure on Roadhog at times with Bijou on the Diva, combined with Reaper and May for a lot of Hollywood, which is very surprising. They run it on attack and defense, and you have the extra wild card of Surefour possibly playing the Sombra on attack. So it's going to be fascinating to see which way we go with the Gladiators. It's going to be difficult for the Fusion to have a good read, and they have to think about a composition that's going to counteract either of these things and possibly something completely new.
I mean, you never know when Hydration's going to want to pull out the Doomfist on like point C, possibly on attack 2 here. So
absolutely, it gets weird for the Gladiators on our last couple of maps.
Yeah, and this has been a recent change with the Gladiators. Just over the last couple weeks, they've started to show us some really unique compositions. They've started to show us variation in general, because we haven't really seen a lot from them up until recently, but man, the stuff they've tried has generally looked very good.
Yes, and being unpredictable like the Gladiators on hybrid attack is huge, because if you can take it in your first push, you set yourself up with a lot of time to finish out the map, and it can be a rock, paper, scissors, because the Philadelphia Fusion must choose a composition without knowing what is going to be coming at them. It's going to be Tracer and Widow on point A defense. Now, we don't see this as commonly.
That's right. Philadelphia Fusion on the defense. LA Gladiators on the attack. They've got some momentum coming into this one after the win on Nepal. It's going to go for a bit of, Junkrat with the Pharah for the Gladiators.
Now, question is, are they going to change it now that they know the Widow's out? They were probably expecting, as I was, that there was going to be a Tracer and a Junkrat, but that's not going to be the case. So they're going to swap immediately. So they've read this properly. Going back, I think this is a smart move. They will go Tracer for Surefour and Hydration on the Genji. So moving straight into dive, trying to get back and deal with Carpe as fast as possible.
Big goose over on the Lucio now as well, so. Gladiators looping around the side here, trying to come in from behind. Hydration up on the high ground with them for the moment. Gonna dodge those sniper shots. Oh, Carpe,
no,
though.
he is not.
Finds Fissure. I said try. Try to dodge the sniper shots. Didn't say you were guaranteed. We're not by any means. And now Bishu, DMAC. Yep.
Ooh, this is
gonna be hard to make a difference on that mini
This
diva.
is super brutal now from the Fusion. You get the tank, you get the DMAC, and now you just toy with them for another little bit of time here as Bishu's still in mini form. They lose Big Goose. Finally, he will get the sweet release of death that Diva players crave on maps where they can't throw themselves off to remech.
Oh, Hydration killed at the very end there too, so major stagger brought on to Gladiators, and yeah, they're gonna struggle a little bit here on point A, it looks like.
I'm confused as to what their plan is, because now they're getting spawn camped more or less. Philly becoming bolder on this attack. Snillo, you can see hiding behind a parked car.
Yeah, they're not going to expect him to come in from this angle, but you gotta Snillo, man. Here he comes in. He's a sneaky Tracer player. We know this. Transcendence Force out for Gladiators already. They do drop Hydration, though. Jazz trying to stay alive. There's the stick. A kill on the Big Goose. Snillo coming up big already. Here on Hollywood, and it's all about the cleanup now. Goodbye, Surefour. And Carpe and Snillo, man.
Can't get DMAC'd. Okay, he's not going to. Gets it back into spawn.
He's okay.
Was dangerous. If Fraggy had a little bit more time on that Primal, he may have been able to push the mech back into his teammates, but not going to make the difference. And they don't have an answer to Carpe right now. Carpe is running riot over the Gladiators.
Yeah, Carpe Snillo. It's not just a spell in Harry Potter, it's also a crazy good DPS duo. Carpe Snillo.
Does sound like a Harry Potter spell.
Does indeed. Carpe having dropped to the low ground here. Gotta play a little bit safe. Gonna dodge that self-destruct. Goes up high. Boombox taken out by Fissure. Meanwhile, they lost Big Goose. There goes Shaz. Both supports killed off on the Gladiator side.
Fissure has to answer this. He's trying to corner Neptuno. They need to trade. They do trade. No supports left.
Yep, so now it's just a brawl. 4v4. Fissure going way deep, trying to get the kill onto Carpe. Carpe does go down. Oh, Fissure, he couldn't get over the wall. Oh, no. He couldn't jump high enough. Just maybe a few less bananas in the morning, and he would have made that one.
It was really the peanut butter, Doa.
Yeah, it was probably the peanut butter. That's true. That is true. Gladiators gonna take this one. Maybe Philadelphia can go for a last-ditch defense. I think they may try it. Yep. Gonna go in. Oh, but Hydration says, no way, man. This point is ours, and my Dragonblade's gonna prove it. 4K with that Genji. The quad kill for Hydration to put the period on the end of that sentence.
Is definitely some flashy play there by Hydration, but the setup was all done by Fissure, and it was almost a disaster when they lost both their supports. If we hadn't seen Fissure take out the supports of the Fusion, there would not have been an opportunity to do this, but that's just a great exclamation point from Hydration.
Right. I love seeing Neptuno pull out the Mercy pistol at the end there, being like, all right, I got this. You never know. If anyone's going to get it, it's Neptuno. Oh, Carpe gets Surefour.
That's a nice start. Carpe has just been dominant on the Widowmaker so far on Hollywood, and that's going to be the Gladiators push back again.
Wow, Snillo with the 3K. Not bad. Surefour finally pops him with the headshot, but Philadelphia Fusion still with a good defensive effort. Red's coming in onto Snillo. He's going to live to fight another day.
Yeah, it's great they were even able to get a res that far forward towards the Gladiator spawn. It's going to make sure that they're not staggered with the closer respawn of the LA Gladiators. Now we're looking at Snillo here, who wants to find his way onto Surefour.
Dude, he is like one of the sneakiest tracers in the league, man. As far as like the lengths he goes to set up things like this. Goodbye, Surefour. Yeah, it's too late, man. There's another stick. Enjoy that one. Surefour gets Reds, though. Big Goose back there to bring him. Surefour. Oh, no. More headshots come in. Snillo can't quite finish it this time.
That time, Hydration is there waiting for him, and there's no chance to get a resurrection. Hydration trying to run through with the blade. Will get one onto Fraggy, and he's going to find himself in the back lines against this. There we go. He's dead.
Oh, all right. Oh, dude, no, yo, you can't. You're not that short, man. You can't crouch behind those stairs.
Yeah, Carpe, 6 final blows on this Widowmaker, but they have been at key times. Bubble will protect Big Goose during the resurrection animation. Surefour still looking for some other shots here. It's a peak battle between the Widowmakers.
Yeah, it's tough when you're the Genji because you're so reflective with all that chrome. It's easy to spot.
It is, just glinting in the sun.
Yeah. Oh, sniper duel.
Sure for.
Ducking. See, that really was tactical crouching there. That's,
It was a nice tactical crouch from Carpe. Surefour probably should have hit that shot.
yeah, probably. Seemed like he had the advantage. Ooh. Couple shots coming in.
Yeah, he needs to hit those.
Some annoyance from Poco on the other side of the high ground there.
Carpe still behind the box. He's looking the other way right now.
Oh,
He's gonna get hydration.
Ooh, close call here. Meanwhile, Neptuno low, stays alive, but just barely. Kills coming in on both sides here, and Fissure has to exit. Gladiators in trouble. They've nearly got point B, but they haven't finished just yet.
Hydration gonna jump back into the Transcendence right now.
It's crucial.
To finish off point B.
It's crucial they did not lose Fissure just a moment ago. He's still in the fight, but oh, Carpe trying to take Gladiators right out of it. There's a Transcendence in the end. Fissure cut down by Carpe again, and the DPS come up big for Fusion. Bishu still trying to just barely hold on to this one. But has he delayed long enough? No, and that's a spinning Winston. He's not airborne for some reason. You'd think he'd just take off like a helicopter, but no. It's just enough to hold the point, and that's a pretty great defensive effort once again from the Fusion.
Well, you understand the strategy. There you go. Carpe taking down Big Goose right at the end of that play.
That peak, man.
It's not the first time I've seen a Goose left alone in the air like that. Maverick, shame on you.
Oh, Rip Goose.
Rip Goose.
Spoiler alert.
Top Gun spoiler.
I feel like that's past the statute of limitations at this point for spoilers.
Yeah, I think any movie made in the 80s, if you haven't seen it yet, then
That's right.
it's fine if it gets spoiled for you. But
Snape kills Goose. Yeah. That's how it is.
well, the Gladiators, though, they were struggling into what the Philadelphia Fusion had on offer. Carpe with a pretty big carry in that map, and now you understand why, even though EQO has been good on the Widowmaker, Carpe is even better.
Yeah.
So now it makes a lot of sense to see why they were running this combination on Hollywood, and almost certainly something the Gladiators would not have expected coming in. Gladiators are not going to go with the Reaper May that we've seen from them, playing pretty standard here. Hydration on the Junkrat, though, just in case Philly does anything a little bit out of the ordinary.
Okay. We do know Hydration is a pretty solid Junkrat.
Philly can run and has run Tracer Widow on attack as well, so may see that come up again.
No Sombra either from either of these teams so far on this map.
Yeah.
Pick we've been seeing a bit more often. A pick we see a ton of over in Korean Contenders, but that's a patch where everybody's playing Sombra.
That's a different patch than we're on.
That's right.
So.
Yep, we're not quite there yet. So, Gladiators. On the defense, Shaz loading up the right click. A couple shots come in, but Philadelphia still moving out here. Carpe back on the Widow. We'll see what he can find on the attack.
Now, 100% Gladiators should expect this, especially not only with what happened on the defense,
close call.
with what Philadelphia has run previously. So it's all about the sight lines right now. They're trying to stay on either side. Hydration will find Neptuno to start things off, and you can see every dangerous peak there, but does make it work.
Man, I mean, Big Goose has been tempting fate this entire round here, but he's kind of like the if the ducks in Duck Hunt were like super genetically enhanced ducks, man.
Like Mighty Ducks?
That's right, they were Mighty Ducks, but not the hockey playing Mighty Ducks, just like really strong ducks that can take sniper fire and live.
No one can hide.
All right, now,
D-Mac?
can't hide. Yeah.
D-Mac on Bishu, that's absolutely huge right now. He's also going to die, so Snell's going to find that's a 6 versus 5.
That's right, Fissure taking some big hits as he tries to come around the corner. Philadelphia Fusion just pinned down by Carpe here. Carpe going for the flank again. They're going to be a Valkyrie on the side of Gladiators. Big Goose using that one. Hydration with the Riptire coming out.
They don't get
Fraggy
down.
Whoa, that was so close. Fraggy, he nearly got taken up, but the tire finished by Fissure. Poco there with the answering kill, and Philadelphia not done yet on the attack. Gladiators could be in a little bit of trouble here. Frankie does get rezzed as well. So Gladiators on the ropes here on point A. They're going to use that Transcendence. I don't know. Can they delay it long enough for people to come back and keep their defenders alive? It's going to be tough. 2 ticks already.
Fissure almost back to the point now, but Hydration falls.
I mean, Carpe with another one on the Hydration. There goes Surefour. Both DPS down, and yeah, it's a bit of a slaughter as Philadelphia finishes off point A here. Goodbye, Big Goose. couldn't get him with a gun, but you can get him with a giant fist.
Yeah, no pressure onto Carpe, too. That's why he was able to continuously get the picks to close out the point, even though some better ult economy actually from the Gladiators. They forced out the trance, Surefour forced out the trance, and then they were able to rejoin with a better trance actually on the point. So it was nearly a win for the Gladiators, but somebody has to stop Carpe, and Surefour is going to try on a Widowmaker of his own.
Yeah, that's the plan. Widow v Widow, brave move against a player like Carpe.
You can see Infrasight up for Philly, though. They want some free movement on the payload. They've got plenty of time.
Oh, that's a lot of people.
Push it all the way down.
Oh, hi, Shaz. Yeah, Snillo being dangerous
Carpe
as usual.
again.
Yeah, I got Big Goose. That time Big Goose not able to outmaneuver that one, and Philadelphia Fusion creeping closer to a lead in the series with a win here on Hollywood. All they need to do is get right to that golden box. Goodbye, Shaz. Kills from Philadelphia streaming in. Oh, hydration caught, and now it's a spawn camp. They've nearly got the DMEC onto Bishu. He's getting the healing now, and Philadelphia just still pushing that payload. They're getting so much distance here.
Yeah, they can't keep running this comp, though. Right now, Carpe is conclusively winning the Widow battle, and that means that there's never any pressure onto the Widow. He's just free sniping all of the supports.
Oh, that's a lot of exposed Winston body there. Surefour gets a kill in the boombox, though. Now the Riptire Hydration can turn this fight around with this one. Gets Poco before he re-max. And so Carpe with 3 HP, cut down by Surefour. Gladiators with a last-second hold, maybe, but they've still got Fraggy with the Primal Rage on the point. Transcendence ended for Boombox. Yeah, I think it's time to regroup. You've got 3 minutes. Fraggy, though, not done yet.
Actually, it gets Big Goose in the back line, but this is great, actually, for the Fusion.
Oh, wow,
Fissure has Primal, and he doesn't have to use it yet, so they can stall out for some time.
Yeah.
But they're going to be in another 6 versus 5 now that Carpe's back. Surefour has the Infrasight, though, so he's controlling the sight lines.
Now Snillo down. Good pick from Hydration. Philadelphia Fusion stymied a little bit on the attack. I think here's where you pull back and regroup.
Snillo dying there.
Yeah.
Crucial pick for the Gladiators so that he can actually stabilize on the cart.
Yeah, 2 minutes here. Surefour finds Carpe again and coming alive in this Widow v Widow battle. It had been all Carpe up till now, and yeah, the res does come through, but those kills are important.
They have to commit the Winston bubble to that, though, which is a cooldown that's going to delay their push. So it actually does slow them down just a little bit, and every second is mattering right now.
Operation Kill Surefour is nearly a success. Yeah, Poco gets him. Snillo committing the pulse bomb to that, despite maybe not needing it, but it's a good start for Fission. Now they get the Primal Rage out of Fissure, and Carpe gets him. Just burning through all of that HP. The focus from Philadelphia as they come into this last attack has been great.
It's a 4 versus 6 on the cart now, Doa. Philly trying to close it.
Well, that Transcendence is going to buy Gladiator some time, and Surefour finally finding another one onto Carpe. They will hold. Hydration down to the self-destruct, but Gladiators coming up big in the mismatch in terms of numbers.
Well, the Transcendence was really clutch there, and the self-destruct was inside the building, so even though they killed one, doesn't actually push anybody off the payload. They may have wanted to save that for another push because they only have a few meters to go.
Yeah.
Gladiators
really close.
Holding strong, however, Hydration now onto the Genji, but there's no ults for the Gladiators.
This would be a pretty amazing hold if the Gladiators are able to pull it off.
Okay, Infrasight up, so that means everybody has to hide on the side of the Gladiators right now. Surefour trying to control this. He's getting jumped on again. Now this time, though, Bishu is there to help him out.
Yeah, Bishu saving that Widowmaker. Surefour, though, still low. Fraggy comes in. Bishu just left him. He had to get back to the cart or something. And now the Primal Rage for Fraggy, trying to keep people bottled up. They've got Shaz in the bar. Goodbye, Shaz. Snillo picks up Big Goose. No more supports. And so it's just damage that can't be healed. On the Gladiator side, DMEC deleted onto Bishu. And now Philadelphia Fusion pushing forward. They've nearly got the win, and it looks like they will maybe get it. Yeah, Big Goose taken out, and that's going to be Philly taking the lead in this series with a win on Hollywood.
Decisive victory from the side of Carpe. He ends the match duel with 18 final blows, tied up with Snillo, actually.
Not bad.
Yeah, Surefour, unfortunately, only with 8. So Carpe decisively winning the Widowmaker battle proves to be a major difference maker for the side of the Philadelphia Fusion, looking mighty smart right now for that Snillo Carpe combination.
You know, it's easy to focus on the DPS in the game of Overwatch. That's where a lot of the flashy plays are coming in. But there are maps here and there where it really is stuff like that. It is the DPS that make it work for Philadelphia Fusion on Hollywood. Quick break, guys. Map 4 coming up after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League. And by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League.
Welcome to the party.
So many stars on this lineup.
And this is where we see the high quality Overwatch, everybody.
Enough of the fun and games. It's time to get the job done.
Well, what a crazy series it has been, and where it stands right now, Philadelphia Fusion up a game over the LA Gladiators. We knew this one was going to be close, and I could see this going to Game 5.
And I do have some bad news, though, for you Gladiators fans. If it goes to Game 5, I do have confidence in the Gladiators on control. But the bad news is that was a very dominant showing by Carpe on Widowmaker.
Sure was.
And we're going to Route 66, and Route 66 is another Widowmaker map.
Well, Asher in for hydration. So there you go.
They're also going to be running Tracer Widow, most likely, is what this means for the Gladiators. But Unless we see some improvement from Surefour and the rest of Los Angeles, it's going to be tough for them to handle what Carpe has been dishing out. And Snillo is staying in, so that is almost certainly what that means.
Yeah, I think Snillo performed really well too on Hollywood.
Oh, he was extremely sneaky. Both
He's a
and
really
Carpe,
fun tracer to watch because of that.
ended with the same number of final blows, 18.
Wow.
Snillo had the highest eliminations in the map at 35. He has been just in stealth mode behind enemy lines, trying to land those pulse bombs or harassing Surefour, because it wasn't just Carpe, it was Fraggy, it was Snillo, who were all back there disrupting the enemy Widow.
Yep, that's right. Surefour did find a couple of the wins in the Widow v Widow duel, but the majority of the kills going over to Carpe that time. And so Surefour really needs to dig deep here, because again, it's going to be tough for whoever loses this to have a real chance at taking that third spot on Sunday.
Yeah, it'll be really hard if the Philadelphia Fusion lose it. But I mean, Seoul right now is back there cheering for the Philly Fusion, because
I think so.
If Philly wins, Seoul's fate is in their own hands. As long as they can close out the final week with 2 wins, they will be in the stage playoffs.
That's right. Philadelphia's other opponent this week would be the LA Valiant.
Very winnable match for them, but they still would have to hope that Seoul is going to drop a match.
Which is...
it's not going to be very
possible,
likely. They're
but
playing
unlikely.
Houston and the Florida Mayhem.
Yeah.
So we'd have to see a pretty big upset.
That's right. Well, I don't hang out on top of the sign. Are we just sliding around up there? Why not? Oh, no! Oh. Okay, it's okay.
Right back
I get
up.
scared. I'm afraid of heights, Monte Cristo. Here we go. Philadelphia Fusion on the defense, looking to win one final map to take the series. Gladiators trying to tie it up and send it to that tiebreaker. Control on Ilios.
Gladiators want to play into the mirror matchup again. Going after this Widow Tracer combination with one of their own.
That's the plan. Asher down already. Carpe coming up with a shot on that Widowmaker as we get started, and Snillo just runs up and puts Surefour on the ground.
And how many times it's going to happen, though? Snillo sneaking back. Right now, there seems to be an issue with the Gladiators playing more defensively and trying to protect this Widowmaker, because their tanks have not been there to do the job.
And I mean, this really kind of puts the Gladiators in an uncomfortable position as far as playstyle goes, because they don't want to have to be back there doing that. They want to be aggressive, and they've been very good with the coordinated dives, but man,
Carpe, come
you
on!
can't stop this guy. You can't stop him. Fissure down as well. Snillo just runs up with a cool pulse bomb. Yeah, hey, why not?
And they're playing aggressively in the train cars right now. Typically, you'd see a scouting arrow from a Hanzo, a sonic arrow to check that spot, but after the initial spawn, you can't afford to change, so it's difficult to get a read now on where Philly is playing, but damn, they are going balls to the wall.
You almost never see teams defend this far up. It's like, you know, a while ago in Overwatch, this would have been laughable. The Fusion making it work. They fall back now. Whatever the Widow ult is called, you get the idea.
Infrasight. Snillo again on the flank, by the way. He's coming in, trying to deal with Surefour. Surefour is just getting hard focused.
Yeah, Snillo, meanwhile, on the back lines, doing work yet again. Been so annoying on that Tracer so far. Philly with a couple ultimates here. Gladiators building up to 4 of their own. Fraggy nearly has that Primal Rage, which is going to be pretty big. If he wants to knock a few people off, he's going to pop it right now. Philadelphia Fusion going in off that Transcendence from Shaz. Oh, goodbye. Can he get back on? He does just barely. Surefour stays alive. The payload, though, not moving just yet.
Fraggy covering his retreat. Fissure going to come in now with a Primal Rage of his own, make some room for his teammates. He's going to try and punch people into Surefour's sight lines, and he's going to succeed.
Oh, that's a kill that Surefour really has needed. Carpe going down, Snillo delaying that payload. Ooh, I feel echoes of soon in the play here, and he tries to take down Surefour on the way out.
But those little delays make a big difference, though, especially now that Bishu is demeched. It's going to be tough for them to defend here. Everyone going to get back on the side of the Fusion. 6 members now back in the mix. They're going to be able to defend here before point A is over.
That's right. Pulse bomb, maybe. Snillo takes a Widow shot, has to be careful. Drops that pulse bomb A lot of damage in there. Boombox picked off though, but now the Widow under a lot of pressure here. Surefour push back, and Philadelphia will hold under a minute remaining for Gladiators. If they get stopped here, this match is all but over.
And Carpe has been the big hero alongside Snillo. What great synergy, what great game planning we're seeing from the Fusion.
Yeah.
They have erased Surefour from this map.
I've missed watching Snillo play so much. He is like probably my favorite tracer to watch here. Gladiators coming in. They need a win here in a big way. Ooh, in for sight again for Carpe. Looking for a shot onto Surefour. There's a chunk taken out of him. He goes back for the health pack. Meanwhile, the fight's still happening. Snillo res by Neptuno. Neptuno down via Surefour. They need to get this pick, and he gets him. And the rappel comes in. Oh, man, he knew exactly where he was going to go. And a nice headshot onto Big Goose as well. Carpe finally stomped flat by Fissure, but that payload still isn't there. And we are down to 5 seconds. Goodbye, Boombox. Shaz falls. Has Philly done it? Bijou nearly D-Mac. There's the self-destruct kill onto Fissure. Bijou out of the mech, taken out by the pulse bomb. And as OT ticks away, Big Goose is denied. And another incredible hold from Philadelphia. They have all but won this match.
What great game planning from the Philadelphia Fusion coaches to field this roster on these last 2 maps, and then really making sure their players are finding those weak points in the LA Gladiators, trying to exploit their advantage in the Widow versus Widow matchup.
Yeah.
Snillo and Fraggy both playing very well today.
Well, Snillo just walking up and be like, hey guys, I mean, how would you like just another top tier tracer? I'm here, I'm 18 now, put me in. And they're like, okay.
The roster working out for Philadelphia, moving up to 12 players. We know that they've used this advantage to scrim internally as well. They're one of only a couple of teams that have that ability, so it lets them hide their strategies and become very versatile as this league goes on.
Yeah, well, this match has been moving about 1,000,000 miles an hour, it seems like, but that box on the ground right there is all the farther that the Philadelphia Fusion have to push it to win this series 3-1. And it's been a great one.
It's been really fun to see what Philadelphia has brought out today. And Gladiators, I think they've been stubborn in their compositions. One of the problems the Gladiators have is that it really requires their DPS to change, like the players that they have to change to run a lot of their compositions.
Sure.
That's why we see them cycle through Surefour and Asher and Hydration. And so within a map, they are somewhat limited in their versatility. And even though the Philadelphia Fusion have just been running this Tracer Widowmaker, if they don't have an answer to it, it's really causing them problems.
Yeah. It's like Philly might be going with Carpe on the McCree, which makes a lot of sense if you're expecting maybe a Sombra on the other side, or have to deal with that Tracer.
You're definitely anticipating the Sombra here. They probably will swap back to Widowmaker as soon as they see that there isn't one, because why not?
Yep. Yep, that's right. Okay, yeah. No Sombra confirmed, and immediately
they'll take that.
It does go back to grab the Widow, most likely.
Yeah, they're just going to take the Widow duel all day. You've been crushing with it so far.
Totally.
I don't know. I actually don't even know why you wouldn't run the Sombra here if you're Gladiators. I think it gives you the Sombra Snowball with the 2 mega health packs gives you the best chance at full holding.
Yeah, I'm a bit surprised. Carpe going way up looking for the shots. Ooh, doesn't find any. So put some pressure here. Yeah, has to dodge that defensive matrix. Shaz, ooh, barely got back behind the rock in time. Now it's Widow v Widow. A shot on Surefour. He's going to have to back away. Philadelphia Fusion zoned out for the moment. Waiting for those picks to come in from Carpe. You can rely on him, certainly. There's one. Okay. Hey, what'd I just say? What'd I just say, man?
Now, can they res? The question, and they can. So they are going to res. So right there, Carpe was trying to follow up with the kill onto Big Goose, knowing the res was coming in. Got caught out by Surefour, and now the Resurrection's going to come through onto Carpe as well. However, Poco has been demeched, so it's going to be a reset here from the Fusion.
Okay, yeah, they're going to give that one up. That's fine. Philadelphia Fusion push back to spawn Gladiators with a good start here. They've got a bit of an alt edge.
Yeah, but only 2.5 minutes left, and Gladiators finally getting it together, playing more defensively. They reacting to Surefour in the back line, so the tank's cycling on the cart and making sure they have cooldowns to jump back to Surefour.
This would be a pretty
It's
amazing
necessary.
hold. If Gladiators can pull this off.
They know where Snillo is now because of the Infrasight, so the sneakiness is not going to be very effective.
Yeah, so it's kind of a 5v6 on the point right now.
Yeah, the Carpe about to come up with an Infrasight of his own, though, so he's going to use it immediately, and now they're going to have the tactical advantage, more information available. See, they don't know exactly where Snillo is.
All they need is one fight, basically. And there's the Transcendence. They're going deep. Asher, D-Mex, Poco. Carpe, though, gets the Widow duel win again onto Surefour. Carpe backing away. A lot of pressure. He's going to go down. Neptuno gets a res on a Poco, but they need Carpe back. Oh, and they need Fraggy a little bit, too. That might help. Snillo on the run. Not going to get anything, really, out of that pulse bomb, and Gladiators holding strong.
Oh, and that's really
scary.
Yeah, it's really scary for the Gladiators because they commit both of their support ults. Boommax is coming out back with the Transcendence now. Fissure and Bishu going to be able to stall pretty heavily, though, with the Primal and the Self-Destruct.
That's right. Have an Orb of Harmony. Oh, the duel, the dive comes in. They were ready for Snillo that time.
Oh, Fraggy used the Primal Rage to engage. Surefour hits a hell of a shot onto the Tracer, and that's going to stuff this entrance.
And Fissure's still sitting on his own Primal Rage as well. They're going to go ahead and use the Transcendence for Boombox now.
Oh, I don't know about that Trance.
Yeah.
You had a chance to reset there.
I agree. Oh, Asher, though, picked off. I don't know if they can get that res. Fissure going deep now. The res does come in on Asher. They got it just in time. Fissure focused down, taking a lot of damage, but he gets back to the payload. And now the push from the Gladiators again. 40 seconds for Gladiators.
They had to use the Primal and the Self-Destruct, though, to get into a position to res Asher. So the price was still high.
Ooh, man, Boombox nearly picked off. That would have been nearly game-winning. We are under 30 seconds.
It's a double Infrasight up now.
Yep, everybody knows where everybody else is. Wall hacks for everyone. Gladiators needs to defend, and they get Boombox. That's a big one. There's a stick. Fissure, though, not finished off just yet.
Big res. Poco going to toss them back in to see if he can get a Self-Destruct kill.
Yeah, that's right. Doesn't look like any kills come through. Philadelphia Fusion needs to do it right here, right now. 2 seconds, 1 second. Fraggy's on the cart. They need to keep him alive. Bishu's gonna get demeched. That could be big for Philly.
That's huge.
Right. Goodbye, Asher. And Philadelphia Fusion winning this fight here at the very end. Another Transcendence from Boombox. Oh, Big Goose killed by Fraggy. And there's nearly no one left for the Gladiators. They defended for so long. And Fissure's Primal Rage, all that stands between Philly and victory. And it's not enough. Philadelphia Fusion will take the series 3-1.
Nearly an epic hold, Doa, from the LA
Very
Gladiators. They finally decoded the attack on the Widow from the Fusion, but it was just a little bit too late.
That's a big win, man. A lot of us thinking that Gladiators had what it takes to come out with the series win, and Philadelphia being so well prepared. The addition of Snillo, so good for this team. His sneakiness, Big, and Carpe, man. You just can't say enough good things about what this guy can do on the Widowmaker.
Yeah, absolutely. Stunning performance. And now both of these teams, they are still in the hunt for that Stage 2 playoff seed, but they are going to need some help. They are going to have to pray that Seoul loses one of their matches or both.
That's going to take a bit, but for now, Philadelphia Fusion, 3-1 victory over the LA Gladiators. Great way to start our final week here in Stage 2 of the Overwatch League. A lot more action coming up, guys. Don't go anywhere. Overwatch League returns right after this.
Merci Discord, merci top left. Monkey bottom left. I'm on point. I'm taking on point, you take on point. Diva. Woo! David. Nice. Bien point. Lucio.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Intel, the official computer processor of the Overwatch League. T-Mobile, America's best unlimited network. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Hello and welcome back, everyone here in the Blizzard Arena, and of course also everyone at home watching. My name is Zoe, and I'm joined by Neptuno. Please give it up for Neptuno and his team, the Philadelphia Fusion, who just defeated the Gladiators in a convincing fashion nonetheless. 3-1 was the end result of that game. A lot of people expected it to be a bit closer. Gladiators have been looking really strong, very aggressive team. A lot of other teams struggled to really shut down the aggression. How did you and your team get it done?
Well, we kind of knew they were like a really strong team. So we just we were playing our game, but we realized that Fisher was like the one creating the space and like going really aggressive. So we were like, okay, let's pressure Fisher, everyone, play around Carpe, and just protect our backline. And it started to work, and we won.
Yep, that's correct. You did win, and it was a glorious game to watch. Now, your playoff dreams are still alive. You could still make it with your team. Your next opponent is going to be the LA Valiant. How do you think you match up against them?
I think we are pretty confident against Valiant because like they play with Karib on DPS, and he doesn't play Genji at all, so we kind of know what they're gonna do, or I think. So I think we can win them, but it's gonna be like close. I think it's gonna be a close match anyway.
All right, well, thank you so much for answering my questions. We wish you and your team good luck later this weekend against the Valiant, and maybe we're gonna see you guys in the playoffs. But for now, let's head over to our desk to break down the action of the game we just saw.
Somebody tell Neptuno he just won. The Philadelphia Fusion keep their playoff hopes alive. A big 3-1 victory right here. Welcome back, everybody. It's Pucky here on the desk. We've got Crumbs. We've got Reinforce. And can we just start with how impressive Philly was today? Because, Johnny, you saw it coming a mile away. Yep. You called this team to win it. What was the best part of their game in your mind?
Well, it was the DPS, and I harped about the DPS for so long. And I get it, okay? Fisher is one of the best tanks in the league, potentially top 2 in the world. It's him or Gesture, you know, the old rivals, of course. But your team is only as good as your DPS players, right? Our main tank, he's really good at creating space and setting up your DPS. But in the end, you need the individual skill to take over. And Carpe, he had the edge over Sure for most of that series.
We'll get to the highlights in just a moment, but first, let's update the standings. After that victory, you'll see Philly is still in the running. You heard it. They still have to play the Valiant. And most importantly, now that the Gladiators are out of their way, they have to hope for a Seoul loss. When you look at Seoul's competitors, it's going to be Houston and Florida this week. So, Philly fans, which match do they need to keep their eyes on here? You cheering for Florida? Are you cheering for Houston? Houston's been on the down. Florida's on the up. Who's got the better chance?
Yeah. It's Florida. Florida gave all the top teams a run for their money. They're up and coming, whereas Houston has just been struggling more. So you got to watch for Florida to be the dark horse here.
All right, let's get into these games. Coming into map number 3, it was all tied up 1 apiece. Philly looking very strong on Hanamura. Gladiators take control. As Hollywood loaded up, though, it seemed like we had some pretty strong defense on each side. What were we seeing from these teams, Scrum?
I mean, you would have taken the nameplates out of some of these defenses, and that would have told you that we went back in time to see Philly take on Dallas Fuel because they were spawn camping the Gladiators. And that means that you have so much opportunity as the Widowmaker when you're playing Carpe, because not only has he been playing a little bit better than Surefour here, but then you've got Poco and Fraggy gunning for him, Snillo constantly in your backline. You don't know where this guy is. So then Carpe can do whatever he wants, and it looks damn good because he just had the entire map for himself.
I mean, it was a Widow versus Widow battle, most of it. We saw the Gladiators rolling out with the Junkrat and the Pharah. They want to play a bit slower, but then Carpe brings the Widow, and Surefour is trying to match him. So the story of Hollywood really was the Widowmaker duel, and on Route 66, we'll get to that later, of course. But overall, I think that Philadelphia, they just had one move ahead of the Gladiators, and the Gladiators just couldn't match Carpe in the Widow play.
Absolutely, the numbers will show it. Carpe was dominating this fight, and for the Gladiators, this is now an issue you have to address moving forward. Do you keep Surefour as your Widow moving forward? Do you test out some of the other DPS players in that role?
Well, it has looked really good on the Widow. We have to say Carpe is potentially one of the best, if not the best, Widowmaker in the league, of course. So, yes, I like to see Surefour keep playing the Widowmaker, but maybe it's not your style. If you want to play peak performance, maybe Widowmaker isn't your go-to versus the best teams.
Well, Johnny, I know you clipped out one specific play here from Hollywood. What are we about to look at?
We're about to look at Philadelphia and their aggression. We always talk about it, of course. So how do they play into their aggression? Why does it benefit them? Let's go into the game, of course, and take a look at how it plays out. So we see that Philadelphia, they're playing on these rooftops, and I'm just going to play it out. And we're going to see for ourselves how early they take this fight. if anyone followed Overwatch before the Overwatch League, you will remember maybe Rogue, you know, holding the choke points, not letting your opponent out. And you can see the Gladiators are taking this fight, and it's so far back off the map. I'm gonna pause it here for a second. You'll see, and up here, the payload is pushing throughout this entire fight. And I mean, it's so much distance that Philadelphia covers while this fight is going on, while Fraggy and Poco are in your backline. And with the Valkyrie of Neptuno, they managed to stay alive, and they got so much free payload push without Gladiators not really able to contest it.
I will say the Gladiators actually did the same thing with their own pushing really far out, but they just weren't able to hold up to the Widowmaker that just came out and just sniped everybody, so the push was already over. So it's a thing that we see these teams do constantly, just pushing really far back to make sure that the defense has no chance.
Boombox, gold objective time for map number 1. Let's talk, or excuse me, map 3. Let's talk about map 4. It was Route 66, and unlike Hollywood, this payload didn't go very far at all, guys. Stellar defense across the board. And Johnny, you said once again, it's all about the snipers.
Yep.
Snillo and Carpe for the first time in a game for us to watch, though. What do you think of this combo, the hit scan players?
Well, overall, I think that both teams played the defense fantastic. It went down to overtime, of course, but the angles are a bit different on this map. It's harder for the teams to dive, and as a result, defensive play is your go-to, of course. And we saw both teams, as I said, really pull off great defense as Surefour popped off and had his moments. We saw that Carpe popped off occasionally. So I think both teams played this map well, but in the end, Philadelphia just one-upped them.
Yeah, and I think when we look at this one, we saw how Carpe was very dominant in the defense, and then Surefour struggling, but then on the flip side, it was the reverse. Surefour struggling and Surefour doing well and Carpe struggling. And it's a matter of the terrain here, because your Tracers, as the defense, going to have a much easier time finding the backline, pressuring them, whereas the offensive Tracer, you're already a little bit more red. You know where she's going to be coming from, so with the infra sight to add to that, it becomes way harder for Snillo to play his game.
I was pretty amazed by just how close this final game was. I was hoping for a game 5. It ended there, though. Philly locked up this series, and they are still in the hunt for Sunday's playoffs. Before we leave this match, though, we have to crown our player of the match, sponsored by Omen by HP. Today, well, he was all over the place, and mostly on Widow. Carpe, our player of the match for like the 98th time here for the Philadelphia Fusion.
It was pretty easy choice, Grumps, right?
Yeah.
Not much to talk about, really. I mean, Snillo played fantastic on the Tracer. EQO played his game on the Genji, of course, but Carpe, he was a consistent performer throughout the series on all maps, and really the difference maker, I'd like to say. I mean, if you had a slightly worse Widowmaker, Surefour would have been ahead. Maybe it would have been a different story, but Carpe, you know, he is the man.
And you never feel bad about giving a player of the game to a Widowmaker, because a lot of the times it is them alone finding these final blows in the Olymps. You see the final blows on Surefour. It's actually kind of back and forth when the defenses would swap, but the critical hit kills is really what you like.
Yeah, look at that. Final blows, 27. How many of those were headshots? 15. More than 50%. Pretty darn impressive stuff in my book. Philadelphia gets the first win of the day, but that's just match number 1. When we come back, we got a good one between two surging teams. Let's hear it. We got the Florida Mayhem and the San Francisco Shock on the other side of this break.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Sour Patch Kids. Sour, sweet, gone.